I stood in the resort's conference room, my hands trembling as I gripped the back of my chair. 25 years of dedication reduced to a single moment of betrayal. My nephew Clark's words hung in the air like poison. The board agrees, Aunt Ramona. It's time for fresh leadership, someone who understands modern hospitality. I'm Ramona, and until 10 minutes ago, I was the managing director of Ward Valley Resort, the business my parents built from nothing. Now I was being pushed out by my own flesh and blood, a kid who'd barely finished business school. Fresh leadership? I repeated, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. You mean someone younger, someone like you. My sister Natalia sat beside Clark, avoiding my eyes. The same sister who'd held my hand through our parents' funeral last year. Now she wouldn't even look at me. The numbers don't lie, Clark said, sliding a tablet across the table. Our competitors are outperforming us in the digital space. We need to pivot. Pivot? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I increased our revenue by 40% last quarter. I implemented the ecotourism program that got us featured in Travel Magazine. And we're grateful for your service, Clark said, like he was dismissing a longtime housekeeper. The severance package is generous. I turned to my sister. Natalia, you're okay with this? She finally met my gaze. Clark has shown me his plans. They make sense, Ramona. Maybe it is time for a change. The weight of their betrayal crushed my chest. I'd taught Clark everything he knew about hospitality, changed his diapers for God's sake. Now he was telling me I was obsolete at 45. Fine. I straightened my spine, smoothed my blazer. But remember this moment, both of you. Don't be dramatic, Clark said, his tone condescending. This is business. I walked to the door, then turned back. You're right, Clark. This is business, and you've just made the biggest mistake of your career. Is that a threat? Natalia stood up, finally showing some emotion. No, I said, smiling. It's a promise. You think I'm past my prime? Watch me. I'm going to build something so successful it'll make this place look like a roadside motel. I walked out with my head high, leaving them in stunned silence. In my office, I grabbed my personal items, my parents' photo, my awards, my leather portfolio. The rest they could keep. As I drove away from Ward Valley Resort, tears finally broke free. But they weren't tears of defeat. They were tears of determination. They wanted fresh leadership. I'd show them what fresh really looked like. And when I was done, they'd remember why you should never underestimate a woman with nothing left to lose. This place is a dump, Meredith said, kicking a piece of broken drywall across the dusty floor. But I can see why you love it. 2 months after my exit from Ward Valley Resort, I stood in the lobby of what would become my redemption, a dilapidated inn overlooking the Pacific. The Salt Spray Inn had seen better days, but its bones were good, and the view was $1,000,000. Look at those windows, I said, gesturing to the floor-to-ceiling glass that faced the ocean. Imagine watching the sunset here with a glass of wine after check-in. People will pay premium rates for this view alone. Meredith, my best friend and now self-appointed renovation partner, pulled out her phone and started taking photos. The location is perfect. Tourist season starts in 3 months. Think we can get it ready? We have to. I walked behind the old reception desk, running my fingers along the weathered wood. I've sunk everything I have into this place, including your entire severance package, Meredith reminded me. No pressure. The front door chimed, a sound that needed fixing, and a tall man in an expensive suit walked in, looking curiously around the space. We're closed for renovations, I called out. He smiled, extending his hand. Anton Knight, I couldn't help but notice the activity here. I own the restaurant down the street. I shook his hand. Ramona, and this is Meredith. The blue crab is yours? Meredith's eyes widened. That place is always packed. Success takes time, Anton said, studying the exposed beams above. But this location, you could do something special here. Have you secured all your funding? I hesitated. We're working with what we have. That's a no, Meredith chimed in, earning her a glare from me. Anton pulled out a business card. I've been looking to diversify my investments. Let's talk over dinner tonight. My treat at the Blue Crab. After he left, Meredith squealed. Did that just happen? A potential investor just walked in off the street? Could be nothing, I said, but hope flickered in my chest. Could be everything, she countered. The universe is giving you a sign, Ramona. First, the inn goes on sale right when you need it. Now this. My phone buzzed. A text from Natalia. Clark's new marketing campaign is launching today. Thought you should know. I showed Meredith the message. She snorted. Perfect timing. While they're busy with their fancy campaign, we'll be building something real. I pocketed Anton's card, determination surging through me. Call the contractors. Let's get started on demolition today. And Meredith? Yeah? Make dinner reservations for 3 at the Blue Crab. I have a feeling tonight's gonna change everything. The plumbing's shot, Frankie, our new maintenance manager, announced as water sprayed from a burst pipe. We're looking at triple the estimated cost. I slumped against the half-painted wall, my shoes soaking in the growing puddle. 3 weeks into renovations, and everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. At least Anton's investment is covering the basics, Meredith said, mopping up water with old towels. The front door opened, and a woman in designer sunglasses strode in, her heels clicking on the wet floor. This is interesting, she said, surveying the chaos. We're closed for renovations, I started, but Meredith grabbed my arm. Oh my God, you're Beatrice Hunter, she whispered. The travel influencer? Beatrice removed her sunglasses. And you're flooding. Just a minor setback, I said, stepping forward. I'm Ramona, the owner. Meredith told me about your project. Beatrice walked to the windows, purposefully avoiding the water. 2 million followers want to know where to stay on the coast. Make this place Instagram-worthy, and I could help. My heart raced. Beatrice's endorsement could put us on the map faster than any traditional marketing. When's your opening date? She asked. 2 months, I said confidently, ignoring Frankie's skeptical look. Ambitious. Beatrice raised an eyebrow. Show me your plans. I led her to the makeshift office, spreading out the blueprints. The rooms will have private balconies. We're installing floor heating, updating all fixtures to smart technology, but keeping the historic charm. And this area? She pointed to the restaurant space. Farm-to-table concept, local ingredients, ocean view dining. My phone buzzed. Another text from Natalia. Clark's campaign flopped. Reviews are terrible. He's blaming the marketing team. I silenced the phone. This wasn't about Clark anymore. Interesting, Beatrice said again, but this time with a hint of approval. You know what makes a great story? The underdog. The woman pushing back against ageism in hospitality. That angle could work. I'm not looking for sympathy, I said sharply. No, she smiled. You're looking for success and revenge. Will you help? Meredith asked eagerly. Beatrice walked to the door, pausing dramatically. Fix the plumbing, paint the walls, make it perfect. Then we'll talk. After she left, Frankie emerged from behind a stack of drywall. So, about that triple budget? I pulled out my phone and dialed. Anton, remember when you said to call if we needed anything? We need to talk about additional funding. And I have a social media strategy you're going to love. Meredith grinned. Beatrice Hunter and Anton Knight? Clark won't know what hit him. This isn't about Clark, I insisted, but we both knew that wasn't entirely true. It was about proving something, to my family, to myself, and to every person who thought 45 was too old to start over. We're fully booked for the next 3 months. Meredith burst into my office, waving her tablet. Beatrice's post just went viral. Look at these numbers. I scrolled through the comments under Beatrice's glowing review of the Salt Spray Inn. The photos captured everything perfectly. The sunset reflecting off our glass walls, the locally sourced breakfast spread, the handcrafted furniture from local artisans. Best boutique hotel on the coast, I read aloud. A perfect blend of luxury and authenticity. We did it, Meredith. The phone rang, an unfamiliar number. I put it on speaker. Aunt Ramona? Clark's voice crackled through. Do you have a minute? Meredith's eyes widened. She mouthed karma and gave me a thumbs up. I'm quite busy, Clark. Running a successful business takes time. Right. He cleared his throat. Look, I saw the write-up in Travel Weekly, the one comparing Ward Valley's declining service to your revolutionary approach to modern hospitality. Oh, I haven't had time to read it. A lie. I'd framed the article. Our occupancy is down 40%, he said. The staff is threatening to quit. The ecotourism program you started, I might have made a mistake dismantling it. Might have? Fine. I did make a mistake. I need your advice. Frankie knocked on my door, pointing urgently at his watch. We had the local news crew arriving in 20 minutes for a feature story. Clark, I have a meeting, but here's some free advice. Success isn't about age or trendy marketing. It's about respect for your staff, your guests, and your legacy. That's it? He sounded desperate. Come on, Aunt Ramona. I'm asking for help here. Like you helped me? I kept my voice level. Check your email. I sent you my consulting rates last week. If you want more advice, you can pay for it like everyone else. After hanging up, Meredith slow clapped. That was beautiful. It wasn't about revenge, I said, straightening my blazer for the interview. Sure it wasn't. She grinned. Oh, by the way, Anton called. He wants to discuss expanding, maybe buying that property next door. The news crew arrived early, setting up in our lobby. As the reporter interviewed me about being a female entrepreneur in the hospitality industry, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in those magnificent windows. I looked confident, powerful, alive. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalia. Things are bad here, Ramona. Really bad. Clark's not handling it well. I tucked the phone away. The reporter was asking about my secret to success. It's simple, I said, smiling directly into the camera. Never underestimate someone who has nothing to lose and everything to prove. Storm's coming, Frankie announced, securing the last storm shutter. Weather Service says it's the biggest one in 10 years. I checked our emergency protocols one last time. After investing in state-of-the-art weather protection and backup generators, we were as ready as we could be. All guests are accounted for, Meredith reported. Extra supplies distributed, emergency lighting tested. We even have board games in the lounge. My phone rang. Clark again. Aunt Ramona, how do you secure sliding glass doors in high winds? What? I gripped the phone tighter. You haven't prepared for the storm? We're trying, but thunder cracked overhead and the wind howled louder. The maintenance manual I left has a whole section on storm preparation, I said. The one you threw away because it was outdated. Please, his voice cracked. We have 200 guests. Evacuate them inland, now, before... The line went dead as the first wave of the storm hit. Through our reinforced windows, I watched palm trees bend like rubber. Ramona, Meredith called from the lobby. You need to see this. On her phone, a local news live stream showed Ward Valley Resort. The beautiful glass atrium I'd helped design was being battered by wind and debris. As we watched, a large section of roofing peeled away. Oh, God, I whispered. Those poor people. This isn't your fault, Meredith said softly. I tried to tell him. Last month, I sent that consulting proposal with a whole section on infrastructure upgrades, which he ignored. She finished. You can't help someone who won't listen. The power flickered but held steady thanks to our generators. In the lounge, guests gathered around board games and hot chocolate, safe and comfortable despite the chaos outside. My phone lit up with a text from Natalia. Resort evacuated. Major damage. Clark's in tears. Dad would be so disappointed in us. Another crack of thunder, and the live stream showed more damage at Ward Valley. The signature waterfall feature, our parents' pride and joy, was now a twisted mess of metal and stone. Ramona? Anton appeared, looking grave. Just heard from my contacts at the insurance company. Ward Valley's policy lapsed last month. Clark missed the payments. My legs went weak. Without insurance, the resort was finished. What are you thinking? Meredith asked, knowing that look in my eyes. I'm thinking about what Dad always said. In business, timing is everything. You're not seriously considering, call my lawyer, I told her. Have him draw up acquisition papers. The storm raged on, but inside the Salt Spray Inn, all was calm. I'd built this place to withstand any storm, literal or metaphorical. Now it was time to save my family's legacy, but this time, on my terms. 3 days after the storm, they showed up at my door. Clark looked like he hadn't slept in days, and Natalia's designer outfit was wrinkled, a first in her perfectly curated life. The insurance company denied our claim, Clark said, his voice hollow. We're finished. I led them to my office, where Meredith was already waiting with the acquisition papers. The contrast between us couldn't have been starker. My team polished and prepared, them disheveled and desperate. 200 employees, Natalia said. Our parents' legacy, all gone because you backed the wrong horse, I finished. Now you want my help. Clark flinched. We deserve that. No, I said, standing. You deserve worse. You pushed me out, dismantled everything I built, and ignored every attempt I made to help. Now you're here because you have no choice. Natalia started crying. What do you want from us, Ramona? To grovel? Fine. We were wrong. Completely wrong. I slid the papers across my desk. I want controlling interest in Ward Valley Resort, 60% ownership, full operational control, and a board seat. 60%? Clark exploded. That's highway robbery. No, Meredith interjected. That's business. Something about fresh leadership, wasn't it? Clark slumped in his chair. We can't afford to rebuild anyway. The bank's foreclosing next week. I know. I pulled out another document. Anton and I are prepared to invest $12 million in renovations, but only under my terms. You planned this, Natalia accused. You're enjoying this. Actually, I'm not. I met her eyes. This is our parents' legacy, Natalia. They built that resort so we'd always have each other. Instead, you let pride and prejudice tear us apart. The silence stretched between us. Outside my office, I could hear the happy chatter of guests enjoying their breakfast. The papers need to be signed today, I said, before the bank moves in. Clark picked up the pen, then hesitated. What? What would my role be? You'll head digital marketing, under supervision. You have good ideas, Clark. You just need experience to temper them. And me? Natalia asked quietly. Guest relations. You were always better with people than spreadsheets. They signed. As Meredith witnessed the documents, I felt no triumph, no vindication, just a tired sort of peace. One more thing, I said as they stood to leave. Next time you doubt someone because of their age, remember this moment. Remember how experience and wisdom just saved your careers. Clark nodded, finally looking humbled. We remember, Aunt Ramona. We remember everything. Welcome to the new Ward Valley Resort, I announced to the assembled staff. standing in the rebuilt atrium, where tradition meets innovation. 6 months of intense renovation had transformed the resort. We'd kept the best of the old, the waterfall now reinforced and more magnificent than ever, while adding modern touches that Clark had championed. The result was spectacular. Each of you represents the best of both worlds, I continued. Our experienced staff teaching our new hires, our fresh ideas building on proven methods. In the front row, Clark nodded. He'd thrown himself into the marketing role, his youthful energy now tempered by humility and willingness to learn. Beside him, Natalia had found her groove in guest relations, her natural charm finally put to proper use. Aunt Ramona, Clark called out after the meeting. Beatrice's latest post about both properties just went viral. The Salt Spray Inn and Ward Valley Resort are trending nationally. Good, I said, reviewing occupancy reports. But that's not why you're here. He shifted uncomfortably. The ecotourism program, I'd like to restart it. Maybe, maybe you could help me understand how you made it work before? Meet me tomorrow at 7. Bring coffee, and Clark, bring a notebook. Later that evening, Meredith found me in my old office, now restored to its former glory. Look what I found in storage, she said, hanging a familiar photo on the wall. My parents at the resort's original opening. They'd be proud, Natalia said from the doorway. Of all of us, finally. Even after everything? I asked. She joined me at the window. Especially after everything. You did what they always taught us. You fought for family, even when family didn't deserve it. Speaking of fighting, Meredith interrupted, Anton's waiting in the lobby. Something about expanding the Salt Spray Inn's conference facilities? I smiled. Both properties were thriving, each with its own identity but working in harmony. The Salt Spray Inn attracted younger, boutique-seeking travelers, while Ward Valley Resort catered to families and corporate events. Before you go, Natalia said, I found this in Dad's old files. She handed me a yellowed envelope. Inside was a letter he'd written years ago. My dearest Ramona, I'm leaving you the resort's operational manual because you understand something Clark and Natalia don't yet. Success isn't about age or trends. It's about heart, wisdom, and the courage to stand your ground. Never let anyone tell you you're past your prime. Love, Dad. I tucked the letter into my blazer pocket. Come on, I said to them both. We have an empire to run. Together this time, Natalia added. Together, I agreed. The way it always should have been. And that's how you handle a crisis, I told the hospitality management students gathered in Ward Valley's conference room. Sometimes the biggest opportunities come disguised as disasters. A young woman raised her hand. But weren't you afraid of failing when you started the Salt Spray Inn? Terrified, I admitted. But fear of failure isn't as powerful as the determination to succeed. After the lecture, Clark waited by the door. They loved you. The dean wants to make this a regular series. Professor Ramona? I laughed. Not sure I'm ready for that title. Ready or not, you're trending again, Meredith announced, walking in with her tablet. Beatrice's followers are calling you the Queen of Coastal Hospitality. We walked together through the resort's grounds, past the waterfall where Anton was hosting a group of international investors. The property hummed with life and purpose. Remember when you said this was about revenge? Meredith asked. It was never just about revenge. Natalia joined us, clipboard in hand. It was about proving something. To you, I said pointedly. To ourselves, she corrected. We needed that wake-up call, all of us. Clark checked his phone. Salt Spray's fully booked through next season. The waiting list is getting ridiculous. Then maybe it's time, I said, stopping at the resort's entrance. Show them the plans. He pulled out a folder, spreading architectural drawings on a nearby table. A third property, he explained, right between Ward Valley and Salt Spray Inn, something that combines both styles. But this time, Natalia added, we do it together from the start. No power plays, no age discrimination. The family business, I mused, actually run by family. Frankie appeared looking concerned. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a situation with the plumbing at Salt Spray. I've got it, Clark said immediately. I'll call the maintenance team. No, I smiled. We've got it, all of us. As we walked to my car, Meredith nudged me. So, was it worth it? All the pain, the hard work, the sleepless nights. I looked at my family, Clark explaining his marketing ideas to Frankie, Natalia already making calls to contractors, the legacy of Ward Valley secure in all our hands. You know what Dad used to say about karma? I asked her. He said it wasn't about revenge, it was about balance. Sometimes things have to fall apart so they can be rebuilt stronger. Deeper foundations, she nodded. Exactly. I pulled out my keys. Now, let's go fix that plumbing, because that's what real leaders do. We solve problems, we build things, and we never ever let age define our worth. And we look fabulous doing it, Meredith added with a wink. That too, I laughed. That too.